Sorry, we are now live.
Okay. What's going on, everybody? So we're going to get into part 2 of this great conversation because we had this conversation before here in the Elite Lounge. Make sure you're following the Elite Lounge. Click that green house at the top. I'm Chanel. I'm one of the moderators for tonight. And then you have Chris up there. Hey, Chris. I think he's
going on.
Okay. Are you ready to go? Is it set up?
Yeah, I'm just pinging a lot more people into the room. Guys, please ping some folks in here. Want to have a nice, healthy audience.
Yeah, we're going to get into some things, baby.
Absolutely. So I just want to finish.
People as well.
All right. Hey, Mike, can you drop a note in Mike Rusker to tell Trevor to get on here too? All right. So, So thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm going to invite a bunch of the guys up to stage, and we are going to talk about some. There's a lot of misinformation flying around about Transamorous, and it's mostly coming from people that don't know us, never had a conversation with us, don't have any men friends that are Transamorous, and they're sitting in echo chambers, filling in the gaps, making assumptions that aren't true. So, what I want to do is I want to invite up a bunch of the guys, and, I want us all to kind of talk about it. And I'm going to just lay out some things that people are saying, and then we can confront it. Not confront it, but, we can address it, have a conversation about it.
Because last time we had this conversation, it was a great conversation. It was a big conversation.
Absolutely was. So,
and every time this comes up about Transamorous men, the girls get all up in arms. Chris, I don't know what you're doing.
It's not good. So, but it is what it is, and we're going to start. I'm going to start bringing the guys up one at a time here. Angelo, I was saying, what the hell? He PTR'd, so.
No, it was a joke in a different room, and I forgot to change my PCR brother. That's all.
Okay.
Oh, I spoke to you before.
Yeah, hey, Chanel, how you doing?
Good.
All right, so, hey, Zay. So, all right, okay, I'm sorry, I forgot about this. Chanel, did you really want me to address that thing again?
So me and Chris had a conversation because he made a video, and he said some things, and I told him, I said, you're going to have to come and address some of the things you said in that video, because a lot of the girls did not like what you said, and I'm a trans girl, so, you might got to touch on that just for a little bit. We're not going to dive too deep into it, but I do think you should address that video and some of the things that you did say.
Okay. Very briefly, so for those of you that didn't know about it, there we go. Okay, so for those of you who may not know about it, I did a live stream about the Janet Mock story, scandal, whatever you want to call it. The story that came out with what she said about during the season 3 premiere of Pose. So, anywho, the Men Like Us podcast is we're content creators. We are a public entity, and it was a public story, so people get to comment on it however they please. But in this case, I had conversations with different women throughout the day about it, and I came to the conclusion that these are the pieces of the story that men can identify with and can talk on. So we were talking about infidelity. We were also talking about the emasculation of this man in front of his peers. And I wanted to also talk about the power dynamics the abuse of power by Janet Mock. And the reason why I chose that part about it was because I work in TV. I've worked on a national show. I was a manager on a national show. I know the TV business. I was one level below the executive producers. I know full well the power that executive producers wield on TV productions. So this is my industry. I know it well. I know how things go, and I know exactly what kind of person is typically a crew member. They're the most helpless, least people with the least amount of power in the production. Those are the kinds of folks. You want to get rid of them? There is no HR. They just don't get a call back. They get a call saying, "Hey man, we don't need you for the rest of the season. Thanks for your work. Goodbye." And that's all it takes. Pissing off one executive producer potentially by not, staving off sexual advances could result in that. So I felt like I could speak on that, and all the rest of it wasn't my wheelhouse exactly. So what I did, I coordinated with my friends at the Box 512 podcast, Grown Black Trans Women Talk, and I promoted their show heavily. I told everybody, anybody who watched my stream saw this, I promoted that podcast 7 or 8 times in 1 hour, saying for the rest of the story, they're going to have a full breakdown on this podcast. Don't miss it. There's more to the story. There's more than just what we're talking about. This isn't the whole story, guys. Go get it over there. So that's what happened. And that's why I chose to do X, Y, and Z. But please understand that men have a different lived experience, and there are just different things that resonate with us than things that typically resonate with women. And I know that may not be good enough for a lot of people out there listening, but that's the God honest truth, and that's where we're at. But I will continue to comment on any public celebrity story that is put in front of me by the media, especially when the celebrity admits to all sorts of things. Like, yes, we're not talking about allegations or scandal or rumors at this point. Boom. So, just wanted to go over it at the behest of my friend. So now y'all got it from the horse's mouth. And, if anybody has a negative opinion of that, or they've heard X, Y, and Z, allegedly Chris said, whatever, just watch it. Watch it and then listen.
No, I'm glad that you did that. Because, when I heard about it, I didn't know specifically. I had to go and actually watch a video and do all of that. And we had our own conversation, and you explained to me everything. So I just wanted you to address that.
Well, there it is, everyone. And, I'm always available for conversation. People who watch the show hit me up all the time. I hear them out. I have stayed on the phone as long as 3.5 hours with one woman talking to her about my podcast. I will listen. I will talk to you. And this won't be an argument. I will seriously take your advice to heart. So by all means, I'm available. Clubhouse, Instagram, all the channels, just inbox it. I'm here. I'm available. So with that out of the way, now that we have a crowd of people that isn't just Chris and Troy.
Yeah, because that was another thing. That's when I said, bring your guys. You got to bring your guys from different perspectives.
Absolutely. And some of them fools ain't here when they need to be here. But they'll get here at some point. So, yeah. We wanted to tackle, I just wanted us guys, we're going to tackle a couple of these myths, I guess, that I've heard lately about, transamorous men, or people have told me that people were saying about transamorous men, and, kind of just confront them and just throw it out there to the guys, and so that y'all can just hear from us. So, one of the things is, and I'm sorry guys, we're just going to go dive right in. We've talked about it on the podcast, but the biggest myth, rumor, narrative that's out there is that, well, they only like us for our genitals. These men only like us for our genitals. They boil their attraction down to our genitals. That's all they want.
Yeah, I've heard the girls say, you guys are sexualizing us. I've heard them say, they think that you just want us for a specific part. You don't want us for an actual relationship. The girls don't feel as if you are actually liking them for the women that they are. It's just a sexual kick. I personally don't agree with that approach because I too have my preferences, and I also am very expressive about what I like from a man, what I like for a man to do to me. I'm comfortable in my transition, in my womanhood, but I know that a lot of the girls have not reached this point. So I can understand their standpoint of thinking, wow, this man only wants to date me because I have this part and he only wants to do this to me.
So anybody, guys, just take it over. Because we've talked about this time and time again. So whoever wants to go first can just jump in.
Well, since you brought up my name, this is Troy. Since you brought up my name, and since you and I are always on these things here, I'll just say my little piece. You know, I've been dating trans women longer than a lot of people probably on this call have been alive. I have been in long-term relationships. A trans woman actually helped raise my children. To this day, my oldest son is 35. My youngest is 24. They still call her mom. They still reach out to her. When they need advice, when they're pissed off at their mom, or when they're pissed off at me, because she's somebody who they love and trust, and they seek her counsel. I've been blessed because before the internet, before social media, I had trans women who didn't have to be my mentors and my therapists, helping me walk through my journey. I saw so much in their strength, just the strength of walking in their truth, and it was inspiring. It made me a better person. It made me understand that even throughout all the things that they have to go through, that they had the empathy, they had that motherly connection, that they can help me be better and do better. But some people don't understand what that means. They only look at the small things because they exist on a low vibration. And just like the young lady just said, some women aren't far enough in their transition to see that, or they don't understand men and don't listen to men and don't take the advice about where a man is in his own journey, because we transition too. We have to evolve. We have to get out of, it being a fetish or a sexual kink, to understand, who these women are and how these women are and how they help us. I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have some of the best friends that I've had for 3 decades, and still going strong. So, that's my 2 cents. I mean, this is really back to trans attraction 101. And I'm done with that. Trans women are valid. Trans women are here. Trans women are amazing. And I have a preference for them. And if you have a problem with that, then you're not the girl for me. Period. End of story.
Amen, amen, amen. And I've heard the myth of like, oh, they only want us for sexual kinks, genital preference, and everything like that. And to be honest with you, like, that's bullshit. Like, transamorous men, most of us, I'm not saying all, but most of us are more so seeking relationships. And as I've always said, every relationship is different. So, for example, if you're a transamorous man and you don't see them for the body part that's between their legs, you just see them for the person, then that's a man that you really shouldn't be worried about what their general preference is in the first place. That's just my 2 cents.
Angela, would you like to speak?
Are you just going to call me out by name? All right. So I was talking about this yesterday. Actually, this specific topic came up. And I was talking about a conversation I was having with a few. Well, I wasn't having, to be honest. I was on Clubhouse in a realm, and I had my mic muted while I was working. And I was listening to a lot of the ladies speak about their preferences and then how their proximity and attraction, or the lack thereof, to trans men, and their lack of a certain genital, and how that, in regards to their sexual preferences,
where they didn't feel like they were fulfilled, that they could or couldn't do this, and so on and so forth. And when I finally did speak up in that room, I called out the hypocrisy of it, but not in a judgmental sense, but just to really call to terms that this is really a human issue. This is not something that's unique to trans people. This is not something that, basically, that's it. It's not unique to trans people. There are people that have their own sexual desires, needs, fetishes, fantasies, what have you. And then they seek out people that fulfill them, whether they're trans, whether they're cis or otherwise. Myself personally, I can't connect with it because I don't care if you're trans or not. If I like you, I like you. If you happen to be trans, it's not an issue. That's the last time we're probably going to have that conversation, unless you keep breaking it up. For me. So I'm over here trying to use I statements. So I think that because of the when you are dealing with trans people who are looking to be affirmed within their social identity, and then you're looking at their proximity towards people that they engage with sexually or romantically, and if that person is objectifying them, then that part is just dehumanizing. Absolutely, I agree with that. And then they're looking to say, okay, all of the men that I have experienced are treating me this way, and they are attracted to this part of my body, a part of my body that I don't connect with. And then you have this idea that that's a representation of all men. It's like, no, that's all the men that you have come across. But for many of us, and I feel like I can speak confidently about that, many of us, we have had long-term relationships. It's just that we don't brag about it on social media. It's not advertised. You know, when I'm not as seasoned as my brother Troy over there. Working on it. I'm trying to get there. But I've had long-term relationships, but we didn't post every single date. And because people within the community didn't see the length and the work that was put into those long-term relationships that I had, there are people that I have had conversations with that didn't think their long-term relationships were possible. So there is an issue when it comes to the lack of visibility, but it is there. And unfortunately, I think that there's a lot of trauma bonding that comes along with some of the conversations that I witness a lot of the girls having in regards to dating trashy ass men. But at the same time, when you listen to the words these trashy ass men are saying in regards to how they respond to you sexually, and then you listen to the words that your sisters are saying in regards to how they respond to men sexually, those words aren't that different. And then that makes it a human issue, not a trans issue, as far as I'm concerned. I'm Angela, done speaking.
That's why I love you, brother. You always bring it and bring it right. I wanted to touch real quickly before you bring somebody else up. And you said making I statements are very, very important. And you talked about the hypocrisy of it all. I too have heard those same conversations. And the hypocrisy is just, it's absolutely hilarious. It's just like you can't see that you're literally using the same words, the same verbiage that men are using, some men are using. And, you have to take a step back and be accountable. The other thing is preference. I hear a lot of women who, have issues with the term transamorous, and then say, well, you just don't like cis women, or you just don't like pussy, or you only want the dick. Well, my last entanglement was with a cis woman. The only reason why we stopped talking is because she wanted to get pregnant, and I'm too damn old to be making babies because my babies is having babies. So it's hilarious when people want to speak about my preferences and don't want to listen to what I'm saying. So I just disengage from those conversations. And what happens, when men step into these spaces, and they hear all of this negative feedback, why would you jump into a pool, know that it's infested, with sharks and they're looking for blood? So you just won't step in that pool at all. And so you won't engage, you won't be visible, and you won't be vocal. And who need mentors, who want to understand where they're going. They would just rather stay in the dark and stay hidden because it's easier. And I'm Troy.
Well, I wanted to tackle this I don't know, this narrative that, well, they only want us for this, they're reducing us to our genitals. And, let's be real. Men like me that are looking for relationships, we need a whole lot more than your genitals to be happy with you. Because sex is only going to take up so much time. After that, we got to figure out how to get along. So I got to be able to have a conversation with you. I got to be able to enjoy being around you. And those are the things that we're really trying to suss out here. We're trying to find somebody that is a good partner for us. Whether we have a genital preference or not, it isn't just genitals only. Like, I'm not going out looking for, oh, you got a dick? Okay, that's it. I'm good. Like, no. Yes, I prefer that. But, what do you do for work? Do you live on your own? There are all sorts of other things that come into the equation. At least for me specifically, when I'm choosing a mate and a partner, and for someone to project her own insecurities onto me, and then try to use insult, shame, and guilt, when it comes to that, to beat me down, to judge what I'm attracted to, is absolutely ridiculous. Nobody in this space should feel comfortable in a position to judge someone based on what they're sexually attracted to. And when somebody is sexually, we all got into this space to be free. We are living outside of the norm of society, and the last thing we need is judgment. Judgment, ridicule, insults, disrespect, absolutely ridiculous. So, I think anybody who really believes that and has a problem with that, it's not me. It's something going on with you that makes you feel othered. But I promise you this much, and I'm not the only one that believes this. A lot of men who classify themselves as transamorous, or at least the guys on this stage, we go into the whole situation thinking you're just as much as a woman as anybody else. And we don't have any complications about, well, is she not enough of a woman because she got a dick? None of that's running through our minds. We are taking you as you are, and we are loving you for the body that you have and the person that you have, or person that you are. We're loving you for who you are, who and what you are, completely. We're taking you as you are. And, maybe there can be a little static because sometimes people don't like who they are enough to really be comfortable with themselves. So, I don't know. I think that's a whole other piece of the puzzle. And I know it's an uncomfortable conversation, and this is going to make some people angry. But, we're being honest here, y'all. You got nothing. You got no padded answers here tonight. We are being straight up about our thoughts and opinions. But, when you dismiss somebody's attraction as fetishism and give them negative titles like chaser and dick amorous, what the fuck is wrong with you? Something's wrong with you. So, sorry to cut you off, because there was a whole situation about that terminology. Somebody specifically wanted me to call you guys the T word, chasers. And I could not, because I did not classify you guys as that. When you letting me know that you want to date me openly, that you don't have no hidden agenda, you specifically let me know from the beginning, I like you, this is what I prefer, and I agree to it. We get into a committed relationship, and I can understand that you are going to treat me as the woman that I am. I don't see where the violence of trans-amorous men are dangerous to trans women. That's the part I don't understand. And I get a lot of hate for not agreeing with a lot of the girls on their approach to you.
Well, there's a difference between being transamorous and being trans-attracted. Attraction is a low-level vibration. I could be attracted to you and not give a damn about you. I can want to have sex with you and not give a damn about you. And I was among the first group that even came up with that, with that label, because men were searching for identity. I entered this before social media, before the internet. So, I was literally the first guy who started speaking up publicly. I'm a white collar professional. privilege as a man to say, hey, this is who I am. And other men gravitated towards me, and you know, hundreds, thousands of men, you know, all over the world that I've dealt with, finally having the possibility model, finally seeing someone and identifying with someone in a term that said, okay, I can embrace this. This is who I am. We discarded saying trans attractive, because again, attraction is not, it's a low level vibration, but being amorous, being in love and loving the people around you, whether they're trans men or trans women, but you know, being a part of their lives, understanding their struggles, all of that, you know, has to do with love and respect, and protection. And that's what we're all about. The groups that Chris and I have, we started the Trans Supportive Brotherhood almost 6 years ago now. You know, we were the first group of its kind where we really held men accountable, where we could mentor each other, where we can hold our feet to the fire, where we could listen to each other cry. There are men who are married, who have been married. None of you see those men. Because quite frankly, they don't want to be in the fray, because it's just too much extra work for them. They've done the work. They're in these long-term committed relationships. They're married, and it's just like, why am I going to go again, jumping into that pool of sharks who, you know, all they want is just fresh meat. So they stay out of it. So again, this is about us having a sense of identity, us trying to help men do better and be better, and by that token, talk about those men who don't get it, those men who are there to hurt trans women, because there's a difference between someone who just wants to get in the bed with you and someone who wants to get to know you and wants to talk to you and understands, you know, a lot of things about your lived reality, and they have respect for it. So it's, and at my age, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Chris keeps dragging me in, and and Angelo calls me an old man. I'm going to address that. I saw you get that dig. I said, but you know, it's all love, bro. It's all love.
So, you know, another thing that's out there, guys, and y'all speak up, because, you know, Michael, Mike, Justin, y'all speak up on this, because there's a lot of people, we at the end of my show, I always talk about the men's only group that I have. I talk about the Men Like Us tribe. It's a men's only space. Everybody come in, join us, XYZ, fellowship with us. But there are people out there that are literally racking their brains, going crazy, wondering what the hell we're talking about in our group, thinking we sit there calling women all sorts of names, and every name but they own in our group, shit talking women and all this stuff. And it's just like, is that what we're talking about in our group? Like, what? Tell everybody what we talking about.
The girls want to know, and I specifically, I mean, a part of me wants to know, but a part of me also feels like I really don't care, because that's a men's group. So, you know, y'all do men things up there. I don't care. But a lot of the girls want to know, are you disrespecting us in these groups?
No. In my group, and hold up, in my group, we actually have two trans women who monitor the group. They comment on stuff from time to time, or like stuff from time to time. They're actually a part of the group. So, you know, again, you know, it's not something that's a monolith, because, you know, there are at times, you know, I do feel that sometimes we need that feminine gaze to make sure that we are, you know, staying true to the path. But at the bottom line, this is for men, to help men do better and be better. You know, because again, we don't have the spaces that you have. We don't have the sense of community, the social circles that you have. We have, again, it's better now, because almost every guy here that's on the panel, I've talked to them in some way, shape, or form. You know, some I've talked to for hours and hours and hours, or some that I've dealt with, you know, on social media, and I've come behind them, supporting them on comments and things of that nature. And you know, there is a sense of community there, but it's important that men have that, because when you're caught in your own, you know, your own head, you know, in your own box, you know, that's where all of the problems start, because you can't think outside of that box, and the pressures from social conditioning and religion, and this toxic masculinity, and this unreachable goal of being the ultimate black man. Is a lot for a lot of guys, and it breaks them down.
When did this start?
disrespected in these spaces, right?
They want to know why we being disrespectful.
Why is that the assumption? Why is the assumption that it is negative? And who has the time to do it? And that's a rhetorical question. Think about that. Like the ladies listening. Like, why are you assuming you're being disrespected? Why are you assuming that you're not? Why aren't you assuming that you're being affirmed? Why aren't you assuming that you're being loved? Why aren't you assuming that you're being celebrated? You're assuming something negative and harmful and toxic and violent towards you. And I just want the ladies to think about that, because I'm not hearing the positive assumptions. I'm hearing all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Also, I mean, another thing about the Men's Only Tribe and the Men Like Us Tribe group is the fact that there are some men that are just recently accepting their attraction for trans women and coming into their own to walk in their own truth. And some of them need guidance as far as am I using the right terminology when I refer to a trans woman? Or, what are some issues within the transgender community that I should be knowing about and be aware of? So therefore, you got people that have dated trans women before or been in relationships with them before, that can actually guide them with the right information instead of learning it out in the street somewhere from someone who has never been in the community at all in the first place. So, for example, we have people that have been around a long time, like Troy, that has a lot of information. Chris, he's got a lot of information. Me, I'm not a genius, but I can help out where I can. So therefore, these are things that they come to the group about. So it's not about tearing women down. It's not about belittling anybody. It's about building community within our own, so that we can be better men when we do enter relationships.
I want to jump in here. So it just to give y'all a full picture and the reason why we look at things a little bit differently. We have men of all levels of experience in these groups. There are men that are married, men with their girls in their 18 years. We have some real we are able to model relationships based off the friends that we meet in these groups because they're doing it and they're living their lives in a successful relationship. So, a lot of those guys are coming down and saying, hey, young buck, this is what you need to know. And they're dropping pearls of wisdom for us as well, which is always dope. And we have a running post in the group. One of the married guys posted it. Hey guys, what's the one tip you would give to somebody who is just fresh into this? And we're all just dropping pearls of wisdom and advice and all that kind of stuff. But we post stupid shit like, we post stupid memes. I posted an anime meme, and we just relate to each other and just kick it with each other in there. And it's not a shit talking session or nothing like that. It's more about us just understanding each other and then sharing our problems. There are men in there who say, hey, one guy in particular was like, yo, I love my girlfriend and I'm ready to introduce her to my mom. How do I do this? What do I have to watch out for? Where should my mind be? Because I'm going to do this. And we talked them through it and it was great. We talked him through it. I got on the phone with him right before he had that conversation. I talked to him afterwards. Everything went off great. And it's just like that's the kind of shit that's happening in these groups. People are just being free. People are getting help. And it's just a dope session. But we are not sitting around, calling people all sorts of MFs and B words, whatever else. That's not what's happening behind closed doors. I invited Lester up here because he's in the group too.
There's another thing that they don't know. I mean, we kick guys off the island off of our group. Flat Top and Mushmouth, we won't mention names, but those are their nicknames. And y'all picked them up thinking, okay, we're gonna get these guys right. But some people are beyond help. Some people are who they are, and that's who they want to be. Their toxic behavior, I've called it out. One guy, there was a post that one of the girls made, and I posted stuff up, that he had said over the last 2 or 3 years. The very first time I got kicked off of Facebook, I actually screenshotted his post And I was thrown off of Facebook for saying something violent when I was just warning about this is how this man thinks. So, you know, we are critical of each other. And there have been times, and I know at least one of those guys have been excommunicated from y'all group.
Yeah, I've kicked out probably a good 12, 13 dudes so far. And the group's only been around for like 8 months, 9 months. So I know yours has been around for, years now, but yeah, we do have standards, and we're not posting nudes and going over women's bodies. Like, look, it is what it is, but people just wanted to know what we do in these groups. Thought I would share because I don't understand folks sitting in a clubhouse room, fantasizing about this. But now we done debunked that. And, I guess we touched on this a little bit earlier, but maybe Troy can speak to this. Actually, somebody else asked, did you niggas just get tricked and turned out?
Wait, what?
Look, I took questions. And somebody asked, did you niggas just get tricked and turned out?
Oh, look. My story has been told 1,000 times. It's, predator abuse and maybe all that stuff, and my own words, my YouTube page. But I met a trans woman. I was 19. She was 16 at the time. I didn't know she was trans. It was right before her 17th birthday. I didn't know she was trans. She was in trouble. I thought I was a superhero. I put my cape on. When I went to her aid, I didn't know at the time that, she was out with a guy who found out she was trans, jumped on her, the cops got involved. He left with her purse, the cops let him leave, and they basically left her sitting in the bus stop with her clothes torn. I stepped up, I gave her my business card and my license and said, hey, this is where I work, this is who I am, you need to get home. 6 weeks later, she told me that she was trans. We hadn't had sex, we had went out a few times. It shook me, but we're talking about 1983. So we're talking about a long time ago. There was nothing. There was no information out there. There was definitely no information in the library because I went and I looked, and I just didn't understand why this young woman who told me that she started her life out as male, how she had my nose open. And what I did, and what a lot of men do, is I went and I had sex with a whole lot of cis women saying, look at me, I'm normal, look at me, I'm normal. Hey, look at all the pussy I can get, I'm wonderful. But, she was always, on the back of my mind. And then as time went on, I started to see other trans women, and I still was intrigued because they were beautiful women. And I like women. And some trans women are extremely beautiful women, or extremely sexy, just like their sisters. So, that's how I got into it. I wasn't tricked, because once I started having sex, I knew full well what I was doing. Didn't know what I was doing. I knew what I was getting. I didn't even know what I was getting into. But I went in there with my eyes open, but with a serious lack of knowledge.
Yeah, my first experience, I was 16, she was 26. And she explained it to me, and I didn't process it at all. I didn't know what the hell she was talking about. But I pretended like I knew. But all I know was I liked her. She liked me. We ended up in a relationship. We dated for 2.5 years. She was my first love. And she happened to be trans. And I really didn't understand what trans was until probably a couple of years after we broke up. She just happened to be trans.
I wanted to hear from Michael and Justin.
Well, on this point of view?
Yeah.
Like, what was your beginning? Like, how did you just get tricked and turned out? My beginning was, I was, like any other dude, I was always attracted to beautiful women. I still am. It's just like, when it came to my interaction and just when it came to relationships or just someone I was interested in, it was never like a main focus on it has to be like this or that. And I did meet somebody that I was interested in. She was cute as fuck, and it was what it was. We conversated, and we got to know each other. But
we lost contact after a while, but then once we got contact again, it was nothing changed. Like I knew I was attracted to her, she was attracted to me. We hung out, we talked, called on the phone, you know, the typical shit. And like she told me that she was trans, and personally, like I didn't care. Like it wasn't something that was gonna change my view of her. Feel me? And that would have never been something that would change my view of somebody. So it was just, it was more of who she was as a person. And I always kind of kept that mentality, even still to this day. In the most recent relationship I had, I always look at the person for who they are. And if it comes to something different later on, then so be it. But it's just like, I'd rather focus on who I'm connecting to first, because that can take a drain on your entire mental and physical state if you just mess with the wrong fucking person. So, no, I wasn't tricked. I'm attracted to fine women. So that's all I can pretty much say about that.
Justin? I think Justin was having some issues earlier. My experience, I mean, it's not anything deep like your guys. Like, it was all over online. It was a long-term relationship on back in the days, and like MySpace was still around. I mean, she told me, and I just never really thought about it. I never really cared. It's just that's how my opinions has always been about trans women. Is that it just never bothered me. I just never like, even watching Jerry Springer when girls would get revealed, I'm just like, why is this guy making such a big deal out of it? I mean, she's so hot, and it's just. And when I met that girl, it was just like any other relationship, and it was just like, I mean, shit, yeah. I'm sorry, I can't really speak right now. Like I said, it was just like any other relationship. It wasn't anything big, and I figured, yeah, hold on, I'm sorry. I gotta go for a bit. All right, man. Well, you know, I'm gonna throw out another narrative out there, fellas, because this one gets tossed around a lot. You know, they say we see trans women as bottom dwellers, and we believe that trans women have to settle with whatever's given to them. That's an absolute lie, and this is coming from me, a black trans girl. And me and Chris have had this conversation of options, and I'm a girl who has options. I don't have to settle for anything, so I don't know what that comes from or who said that. Maybe they're speaking for themselves. That's how they feel for themselves. But Chanel can choose and picks and dwells wherever she please. I don't know nothing about that. Well, I'm not like, is that like the trans women thing that yes, yeah, this was an assertion that was made. They think that we think that they're bottom dwellers. Yes, because that will be there'll be a projection from us thinking that we're at the bottom. That is a trans woman saying that, and I'm not going to name her, but she said that transgenderous men see trans women as bottom dwellers, and that we believe that trans women have to settle with whatever is given to them. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I'm a catch. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that really does not make sense.
Well, why would you even say that as a trans woman?
But see, I think some comments or people's points of view are unworthy of discussion. I mean, that's her thing, and you know, if that's how you feel about you, then that's okay, and that's fine. Because if you think that of yourself, then that must be who you are, and you're someone who I wouldn't want to mess with. So I just keep it moving. Not comment about it. Just say okay, and that's that. Some things just don't deserve, you know, comment or discussion. All right, fair enough. This one might, I don't know about this one, but there
there was an assertion that was made that, if we all could, we would be fucking 5 girls at a time, being whole ass chasers, and someone else asserted that 4 out of the 5 girls that we would choose would be post-op.
First of all, one woman is quite enough. I don't need all the drama. Oh my God, I can't. No, one is enough because it's enough to deal with one woman, let alone several. And plus, I don't chase nothing. In fact, I haven't had sex since October. That's my choice. I got to work security tonight. I'm getting ready to go work security in about half an hour. And I see women, all week and weekend with my part-time job, and I get offers, but again, if you can't add anything to my life other than sex, I just don't want it. I just don't. There's no need for it. I need someone who can enrich my life and I can enrich hers. We can evolve together. We can grow together. If that's not going to be a possibility, sex is fun, but it's just not a priority.
And the assertion that we all prefer post-op women?
That would be false. Or as in the words of a man from American Idol, that's a no for me, dog.
Anybody else?
That takes too much energy and time. Like, I don't have time for that shit.
Exactly. And personally, I'm more of like the type of guy that would rather be in a relationship than be having a bunch of one-night stands. And since the pandemic, I actually made a personal choice to myself that I was going to stay single, not be involved in any sexual activity, because I'll be honest with you, I was afraid of getting that Rona. So yeah, like the next relationship that I go into is like I'm not looking for 5 girlfriends. I'm just looking for one girl that I can be monogamous with and be in a relationship. And to be honest with you, I mean, if she has a penis or a pussy, like I'm not the type of person that judges what's between your legs. I judge who you are.
Well, I'm being real. Yeah, I'm poly, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm always looking for good sex, but I'm not opposed to it. That's honesty. As far as preferences on whether she's pre-op or post-op, I don't give a fuck that you're trans. It doesn't matter to me. If I like you, I like you. If you happen to be trans, you happen to be trans. If you have to be pre-op, you have to be pre-op. If you have to be post-op, you have to be post-op. But I'm not actually looking for someone with a certain set of features. At least not down there. I mean, you gotta be beautiful because I work in the fashion industry. You can't be ugly and come to my events. But that's real. I'm being honest. But yeah, that's a weird question. Yeah, I don't pre-op or post-op. I've never thought about that.
It wasn't like a main focus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like either I like you or I don't.
Exactly.
Well, there you have it. Oh, Justin, go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say, it doesn't really matter as long as she's great to me.
Well, fuck it. I'm gonna step out of the ledge and tell my motherfucking truth out here, goddamn it. I have dated women that were both pre and post, and I have to be honest, I would definitely not want to experience the post again. So I experienced it. I figured out it's not for me. I don't like it. I prefer just pre only. And, I think the assertion that we would mostly choose post or everybody's looking for post was kind of weird to me because I've never heard that from anybody. Most of that I've heard from is guys who don't care either way.
That came from a post.
I don't know what you got. I can't make no assumptions. It was just an assumption that was made. But, another rumor, assumption out there is that, we're all just a bunch of unwanted incels that nobody will ever love. And I think everybody here on stage has had a relationship within the past year and a half.
Yep.
Yeah, but that goes to show again, like it's like we're like just because we're part of a community doesn't mean we all have the same exact mindset. You know what I mean? We're all still individuals at the end of the day.
All right, well, hold on, I got one more. Oh, well, this was a question I did ask in the group. This definitely was a question. I think we answered it, but why not answer it publicly? Are Transamorous men jealous of trade?
I'm good.
Another question unworthy of a response.
Fair enough. Hold on, I can make sure I don't got anything else. To talk about the secret group parts. There is an assertion that Transamorous men want to control trans women. We just want to control them. That's the narrative out there. Fellas, the fuck? Who the hell are they dating? What's going on here?
Yeah, like whoever is asking these questions, like they need therapy, and they need to stop dating whoever the hell they're dating. Like they're describing Ike Turner or something. Like I don't even know anybody. Like the frame of these questions. Like I don't even know anyone with those characteristics. And I've been around since '99.
Exactly, Angelo. And this is, Chris and I talk about this all the time. At some point, you just gotta let these kind of questions just go. Like, let them feel how they feel. Let them say what they want to say. Let them run in their social circles and feel that way. Just like there's toxic masculinity and fragile masculinity. There is toxic femininity. Toxic womanhood, and those people on either side, they need to stay in their own groups and do their own thing. It just gets to the point where, and for me, it's been a lot longer. We are always defending ourselves. And some of you guys might remember this. A very large girl who made a pass at me. I turned her down. I told her I wasn't attracted to big women. She knew this. When I broke up with my girlfriend, she sent me a message saying, I wish you were in the big women because I would love to date you. And then another 2 years later, she sent me another message, angry because I'm not in the big women, and I had to explain why. And I said, just like I prefer trans women. Just like some guys prefer black women or they want a heavy-chested woman or whatever it is. Everyone has a preference. This girl blocked me. She made this post saying that I was transphobic and I'm not for the girls and blah, 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 blah. So I posted the whole conversation. It was only like 2 or 3 pages because we really didn't talk. But it's just like, that's your issue, baby. Go seek therapy. Those are your issues that you need to get someone, get help, because I'm comfortable where I am. You knew where I was, and yet you kept asking. So this stuff just gets exhausting year after year, trying to defend yourself, trying to defend a group of men. It's just like, why do we have to be here?
All right, fair enough. Look, that's all I have, fellas. I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I said I treat like that type of action just like the people that like to say that transamorous men are chasers. I just stay the fuck away from them, you feel me? That's all.
Yeah, I don't chase shit except for that bag. I work a lot. That's it.
With you on that, man. Definitely with you on that. But yeah, that's all I got for that side, for that part of the conversation.
Hey, I gotta step out, man. I gotta get ready. I gotta get ready to go. All right. Anytime y'all brothers I'm there
Thank
for
you for everything.
thank you, Chanel. And I thought you invited D as a speaker, but she didn't come up. Hey, D, there's still nothing from you today. So, all right, y'all. I'll let y'all go.
I'll let you go.
All right. Yeah, we're going to better people up on stage. And, we're going to better select you up here. We're going to continue this conversation. And,
listen, y'all, we're going to let y'all know, but we're not doing the disrespect. We're not doing none of that. You can have your opinions, but just be mindful.
Who was up here before?
If you want to come up, go ahead and, raise your hand.
All right, so folks up here.
Okay, we'll let you up.
Hello.
How are you?
I am marvelous. Hello to everyone on this ostentatious lounge tonight.
Thank you for coming into the Leak Lounge.
You are quite welcome. Thank you for having me.
So I know you have any,
ladies, y'all come up here with some questions for the fellas. Because, we here to ask. Or answer. Wow. Sorry.
which part of the conversation did you want to hit on? Because I see you raised your hand.
Well, I enjoyed the whole conversation, but going back to some things that my trans sister's been saying about the brothers, girl, and the fact that someone actually stated the fact that transamorous or trans-attracted men are, well, let's just say the men, because that's a lot to say and I'm tired. That these men that actually want to build a relationship with us, that they're using us as bottom feeders, and I think also it's I want to say it's the type that they're dealing with. Examine the type that you're dealing with.
That's what all of us said on this point. Absolutely. You are what you deal with, and if you're dealing with those type of men, your mental state is going to reflect that.
Exactly, and also for me in dating, I had to examine the things that I was attracting. And I was able to trace it back to, number one, the idea that girls like me could only bag the DL trade. Nobody, like someone said earlier, I have options. I have options. So with me knowing that I have options, I'm not going to settle for boo-boo the fool across the street when my whole ass is right around the corner.
As Tatiana said, choices. Drag Race.
That's what I got to say.
Hang on.
How are you,
Sasha?
I was trying to come in earlier, but I saw that y'all were getting into it, so I said, let me run around a few blocks and come back.
Anything in particular you wanted to address?
I just, one thing that just came to my mind that was a little problematic. There was this guy that really, really, really fine. Let me tell you, fine. And at first, I hooked up with him a year ago, and then he was coming back to me again, and, very respectful, very laid back, but I also kind of got weird when he was like, oh, I have a girlfriend, because I don't like to mess with people's relationships, and I don't want to be in a drama or be in harm. And then, this time around, when I kind of called him out for it, I was just like, I want you to be respectful for someone that you're with, and I want to know what you're in. And he was like, oh, but she's trans. And I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean you're in an open relationship with her. He's like, no, we're good. And I just kind of heard this idea from this guy saying that, oh, because of her identity, and because of your identity, your standards and your values is down. And as the priestess has said, I still need to feel safe, right? There are men who just feel that they could violate my privacy, DL and non, and think that I am desperate for their attention. And I don't even have the energy anymore to even educate them. I'm like, do you know how harmful it is for you? I had this guy the other day who sent me unsolicited pictures and then say to me, I'm going to come to one of your events, which, mind you, I didn't have my Grindr or anything connect to my Instagram. And I was like, do you know how problematic that is? I want to really just pop off and tell him that. And now, I blocked him and also protected myself. But I was just like, why do these DL men, for one, think that they could be harmful when they don't get what they want. Two, and I kind of already know the answer, and two, think that they could just send you unsolicited things and not have a face picture. Who in the right mind, no matter how good your body parts look, for someone to go respond to you and run after you at it when it puts you in vulnerability? So, I have my hours, I have my times, and I think, there's just so much stigma that we know from Western society and colonialism and Christianity that makes people judge and question so much about where they fall on the spectrum, and really just so much expectations that is placed on men about their role and who they got to be and a provider and sex is for children and all that bullshit. That we really have to revamp what relationships look like. And men haven't really been taught as a culture to be comfortable with their sexuality, to be comfortable with their expression and emotions, to be comfortable with what they like. And we are taught to second guess when it's something out of the norm. I'm preaching to the choir, obviously, but I'm just noticing more and more and more. And this was since childhood. I was like, why am I getting, in a friendly and unfriendly way, all this male attention from supposedly guys who are straight and are very flirty, and then it just escalated, and just realizing that despite all these haters around me, I have a lot of people who are attracted to me, but unfortunately I'm having the wrong type of people attracted to me versus who I want to go after, and there's not that connection because, again, societal messages. So it's more of a statement that I just struggle with. And, sometimes I internalize I don't feel like I'll be loved and valued who I am. And then you're also getting people who view you in a certain sexualized, fetishized way, but that still doesn't obviously affirm me and see myself having potential for health and safe relationship.
Thank you, Miss Cleo. Thank you so much.
I want to address one part of that real quick, because this comes up this has come up before in this world. It's men do it all over. Unsolicited dick pics. It's a thing. It happens with a lot of folks, and a lot of times what I tell
Christian minds are violated.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not excusing the behavior at all. That's
no. I'm joking. Go.
One of the things that I tell folks sometimes is like, look, that fucking scumbag ass dude that sent you those fucking pictures, he's doing it because it worked on somebody else. It ain't worked for you, but somebody gave him a positive response, and he just keeps on doing it.
I was more so scared that this guy who uses the DL word to not only not show who he truly is, but to invade my privacy, and then also said, I'm going to beat you up in public, and I don't even know what he is, and also not caring about, my harm and bullying. And I was just like, I really wanted to pop off on him, but obviously to not make him escalate his violence, I was just like, do you know how much at risk you're putting at me? And you say that you know me now, and you say you know where you're going to go because these apps show you where you're nearby. So, yeah, it's about power. And not only trans people are struggling this, cis women, all types of people. It's about power where people think, I'm going to get what I want. Sorry to pop off, but I just remember having so many experiences where I dressed very modestly, and I had men come up to me and, who seemed real DL, real hood, real tough, real DL, but still in public just couldn't control themselves. And they're like, why don't you go down on me? And I'm like, excuse me? And then the moment I ignore them, they keep saying, but we know your type, I know what you are, assuming that I'm just desperate and dirty and has no values. And then when I ignore them and confront them, they all just became violent. And even in New York City, and it's really fucking scary. And I think that also pushes a lot of trans people and women to be forced sometimes and socially pressured into non-consensual sex and harassment because someone is physically trying to threaten you in other ways if you don't give in to their demands. So it is about control and power. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's absolutely sharing that with us. It shouldn't matter what you were wearing. I know you said you were dressing modestly, but that should not be a factor at all. That is some fucking bullshit.
Sasha, did you want to chime in?
Yes. Hey guys. This was a great conversation, and I watched both videos. And when I watched both videos, I really got a lot from both videos. I think with the male videos, it needed a female input, and with the female videos about Janet Mock, it really needed a male to be there. So I think what's the problem, what the girl video was saying about the male one is that they were just focusing on Janet Mock age, and she dating a younger guy who's in his 20s and she's in her 30s, right? So I think that was the main thing that was focused on the man's video, where she used her power. I don't feel like she used her power because it was a public relationship. Everyone on the set knew she was dating him, right?
So, no, it's not about Angel. It's the crew member that she cheated on Angel with.
Yeah, we understand that.
It's not Angel.
Yeah, but okay, I get that part. But what I'm saying in the man's video, it was more so like you guys were focusing on like her dating a younger guy and abusing that system, right? Which when you look,
we didn't talk about.
I'm talking about the video.
It wasn't about Angel. I promise you, it wasn't about Angel.
I watched. Listen, Chris. I love you guys' platform. Let me just say this. I love you guys' platform, and I love the women's platform, which is Giselle. She was talking about the same subject, and there's a lot of YouTubers that were talking about the Janet Mock situation. It wasn't just men like us that was talking about her and Angel relationship. It was everyone on YouTube. So I felt like the woman should have more so focused on everyone who was talking about that than you guys. But I understand where they were coming from. They were saying basically you guys are Transamorous guys. So you guys should know that trans women don't have that much power. And the little power that this white gay man gave her, she wasn't abusing it. You know what I mean? Yes, she cheated. We all cheat. I'm not a cheater. I never cheated on someone before. But I've got cheated on with. But what I'm saying is that when you guys were making the video, it was just focused a lot on her dating a younger guy. That was brought up as well. And a whole, like, she abused the system, she abused the power, and it was like you cheated someone, you disrespected, you violated him. But Janet Mock was not just focusing on that. She was saying, like, I'm not getting paid equally. You guys never even touched on the equal pay. You guys never touched on the colorism. You guys never touched on the sexism on the show. You guys never touched on why they're canceling a good show, why they're not making more trans writers to come on board. Like, that's what the ladies were saying. Yes, they were saying inappropriate and vulgar things because I guess they were angry, but I once made a video saying trans women should stop using the word chasers, and I got attacked by trans women.
Oh, girl, I got attacked for saying that as well. So on this app, I've been attacked because I won't call men Transamorous men.
Right. So I don't use the word chasers anymore because I felt like it was a lesson that was older trans women used to use in the 80s when they didn't have privilege. Now trans women have a little privilege where they can walk out the street and pick and choose what man they want to decide to date. The problem is why women are saying they're choosing less because they don't want to date outside their race. They want to date a thug. They want to date someone who is straight passing. They want to date.
But then that's your preference. Then that's their preference.
Right, and it goes back to what I was. Right, it goes back to what I was saying about the whole genital thing. If a guy likes me for my genital, I love the fact that you like me because I have a dick. I'm happy. I'm so much comfortable in the bedroom that once I take my clothes off, he's gonna adore my dick. So I don't understand when trans girls say that part because I feel like with girls who want to get their vagina, they're scared because society tells them if you get a pussy, you're not gonna be desirable. And I just feel like that was the point that was missing from was in the video with them are like just talking about it, they would have brought that to the male point of view. Because I feel like if you sit around with a whole bunch of guys and you guys are talking about women, I feel like you're going to be saying the same thing over and over because you guys have the same social construct and there's no one rebutting your thoughts. And that goes for the right, and that goes for the woman part as well, where the trans women just all they're more just talking about it, and they don't date trans women, so they don't know what a trans man go through. They are themselves. So that's where I was more so like, I wish that you guys could make a new video, where you have 3 women and 3 guys, and you guys would have discussed this, and maybe it would have been a better conversation because
if someone DM me one of these videos, I don't know which show. Where is it?
If you go on YouTube, let me plug it. If you go on YouTube, right, you can type in Men Like Us, and then I think that was like the 3rd video that says Janet Mock cheated or something like that. And then Hope Giselle, Amorous, or something like that. So it's not that
Can We Talk podcast.
Right, Can We Talk? It's not that Hope Giselle was attacking you guys. I don't feel like she was. I just felt like there was a lot of girls who were just pissed off at the fact that you guys are calling her. I think, did you guys use the word pedophile?
What? No.
Okay, well,
It is just the children. So no.
Wait, can I interject and respond to something you said, Sasha?
Sure.
So I understand the need to not labeling everyone chasers as it stigmatizes trans-amorous men. I think for me, at least, I feel that I only use the word chaser. So here's the reality. In New York City, for example, when we have Trans Day of Remembrance, Trans Day of this, whatever, there's like mostly trans-led, trans majority identified folks, and whether at the piers or elsewhere, there's always these group of guys that find about these events, and they literally go there not to be friendly and be allies and be respectful, but to prey on trans women. And we use it as a code term, to protect ourselves because we often see those same type of guys. Now, I understand that's not true and healthy for all people, and it makes me be more mindful and sensitive. And also, it goes back to the irony and the duplicity where you hear some trans girls who are like, why am I not having no one pursuing me and attracted to me? And then at the same time labeling everyone who pursues them as a chaser, right? So you put that into perspective. Also, I'll just put it out there, like, I feel Janet Mock way into her 60s. She could just get it. She's just gorgeous and smart and beautiful. Now, I'm not sure entirely what you're talking about in terms of her, so I have to go look at the video, of course. But I did have a question that made me think, is there an actual statistic? And again, it's hard because so many people are closeted, but for example, scientists say that even in the most liberal or non-liberal society, in every given society, there's up to 40% people, which I believe is actually higher, of people are LGBTQ. And I say that because people are across the spectrum, and obviously people felt more safer to come out. But I'm wondering if there's any studies in terms of, men being trans-amorous, and I'm wondering if it's more so with, I probably feel it's more so with men, cis men, than it is with cis women on the other way, despite the fact that we actually see more queer women and cis women with trans men than we see cis men with trans women that I've seen publicly. And then the part 2 is for those of you, I don't know, I'm sure there's some little support group here and there. Obviously there needs to be, but for the larger cultural conversation and the work to be done, I'm wondering what are the conversations and what has actually helped for men speaking to other men who are both trans-amorous and non to be allies and to keep trans girls and trans people safe?
Let's be clear here. The word tranny chasers are used for black men. they don't use that on white cis men. It's used on black cis men, and that is a part of colorism. So let's be clear. When we use the word tranny chasers, it's not from the white community. It's not from the non-black community. It's from the black trans community, right? So when we say chasers, right, it's just men who goes around and sleep with trans women. We are grown-ass women. We should know when a man is desiring us and when a man wants to actually sleep with us for one-night stand. It doesn't take a rocket science to know when a man just wants a one-night stand from you. And I find it very problematic when I see white trans women and non-black trans women use the word tranny chasers, right?
But
because
I wanted to chime in. I don't mean to cut you off. Because you said that black trans women don't call these men chasers.
No, I never said that. I said the word tranny chasers came from the black trans community. And when you see non-black and white trans women, they don't say that to white cis men, right? They just say he's a trans attractive guy, or he likes trans girls, or he's just a player, or they use those type of terminology. That word's only used for black cis men. And that's why I say, if we're going to be pro-black and for the black community, we should know the difference between if a man is going to want to hook up with you versus a man who wants to date you. It doesn't take a rocket science. If a man approaches you outside and says, hey, I'm trying to get to know you, right? Don't invite the guy over your house for the first time. Clearly, if this guy end up sleeping with you, maybe you guys didn't have sexual chemistry, and move on. Stop making a big deal. And that's why I say the word trans does not make sense, because it's only being stigmatized to black men, and it's not stigmatized to all men. And that's why I say it was problematic to use that word. Because if we're not using the word to uplift men, we're just using the word to downgrade them because they disrespect us. And how are they disrespecting us? By we opening our doors and having sex with these men and catering to these men. So why are you calling them a chaser if you're giving them what they want?
Well, Sasha, I wanted to address one thing a suggestion that you made. I think the Men Like Us podcast is definitely unique because it centers male voices on an issue that you never hear from men on. Because it's, 1,000 other transparent content creators out there, and it's just me. So, I have experimented with bringing some women on, got some negative feedback for that, but I promise you this much. If I would have brought you on, I would have brought Dee on, I would have brought Chanel on, we would have had 3 women on there. It still would have been complaints about, well, he ain't put on no real women on there. You let women on, but they ain't the real ones. Because if you're not being disrespectful to men or antagonistic of men or reading them for filth or whatever the fuck, it's not seen as valid. And there would still be a whole lot of judgment, and that video probably still would have got made. It just, I don't know what way it would have been done. But I'm just saying, there would have been still negative talk because, well, he had them girls on there and they's all pick me bitches and this and this. I've seen it. I know who I'm dealing with. I know this crowd. Nothing would satisfy them at all. But you know what? That group that did that stream, I wouldn't have been on there. Not very long. Not with the way that they act and think towards men. That was it. No. Absolutely not. So I would interface with people and do content with folks, but only if they don't A, see all men as shit, and B, can be respectful in a conversation and not antagonistic. Because at the end of the day, we're not supposed to be each other's enemies. I'm not supposed to be every woman's enemy out there. I'm here to make sure, I'm first and foremost, I'm here for the fellas, which is a huge misconception. A lot of people are like, well, you are Transamorous, you're here for the girls. I'm not here for you first. I'm here for the men. I'm here to support my brothers. I'm here to give men confidence. I'm here to give them community and help them on their journey. They're my first priority. The women are second. And this is the platform that women come second on. This is a man's platform. And nobody else is putting men first. I'm giving a fuck about a population. Nobody else gives a fuck about So that's really what it is that I do. But I am totally here to have you on my show, to have D on my show, and Chanel on my show. And we can definitely hash out the next, not Janet Mock, but whatever, the next celebrity story that comes out on Big Skin. I'm cool with doing that, but it's going to be people that I select that I know don't have a negative overall view of men, or at the very least don't let it lead them to the dark side of the force. But that's what I would do. So I would not invite most of those other people on my show.
I just feel like it was a missed opportunity where you and the other men, I think that we are a community, and I understand that you want to make space for trans-amorous men, but at the same time, when you have conversation about trans women in the workplace or trans women dating in the workplace, you have to understand that it's not a lot of trans amorous men in society. There's a lot of trans attractive men out here, but it's not a lot of trans amorous men who wants to actually be in a relationship, right? So when you see Janet Mock find a trans amorous man who is publicly and openly want to date her in the workplace, because that's where most cis and trans people find love, in the workplace, right? Because that's where we spend 80 hours a day, 80 hours a week, or 2 weeks, or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is that in you guys' video, you guys were really hard on her dating in the workplace and kind of embarrassed him and his manhood being, he's a friggin' man. Like, deal with it. Like, man cheat on women a billion times. Like, if this one trans woman cheated on her man and he forgave her, like, we shouldn't like abuse her because she just slipped up and she realized that, he is the best thing for her. Like, I felt like there was no like medium in that conversation. It was more so like, okay, you cheat on him and he's a transamorous, we're gonna come get you. We're gonna villainize you. We're gonna break you down. And I think that's where you needed a feminine mind to kind of like say, no, guys, I understand that she cheated. And just like when guys cheat on us, we would just talk it over and just take them back and move on, right? So I felt like that was missing from the conversation. And I felt like that's where Let's Talk podcast was talking about. Yes, they were being disrespectful as F, but there was no male to kind of like bring them back in and say, hey guys, like we like trans girls. Yeah, we like trans girls with penis, and that's not a problem. Just like how there's this man that says, hey, I like girls who are born biological females. And people are just outraged about it. Like, why the fuck you only like biological females? And it's like, people have their own desire. And I just feel like that was missing from the conversation, where it was a missed conversation on both parts, which I can understand both people, both groups. And that's where you have to take the L, and that's where she has to take the L. Because both of you guys missed this opportunity where other people who are looking in can say, okay, that makes sense.
Well, Sasha, I wanted to say, so when I watch both, because I'm a trans girl just like you, when I watch both videos, I came to Chris and like, yo, Chris, what did you say that was so bad? Because I had heard about what Janet Mock was talking about. And the first thing that came to mind, I was like, well, why did she speak on cheating on him and having sex with somebody? I didn't know why she just came out with that part. I was rooting for her about the pay. I was like, okay, you know what? She's right. She's demanding that she be treated better. She demanded she want more money. I'm here and I'm for it. But when I got more context behind it, and Chris was letting me know, because Chris is in the industry, he's like, she's getting paid a great amount to be a newbie in the business. And when he was really breaking it down to me, that's when I further understood. Now, I don't care about her cheating. She can cheat. She can do whatever she want to do. I don't think she should have said that night. I think the liquor was flowing and she just was upset. However, my issue with Janet Mock is, you brought the girls and you're complaining about pay. Did you fight to make sure that these girls are getting just as much as you?
it's one thing to say, I brought you the girls, as if you're the owner. But what I want to know is, are you making sure that these girls are being treated as fair? And I don't think so. I think she is a token trans girl. I think that they've put her on the pedestal like many of the other girls that come into Clubhouse and that are viewed in a certain way. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And some of the things that those girls said in that video, I think were very disrespectful. Very disrespectful. But it also stems from other issues that don't even have nothing to do with Janet Mock. These girls have their own issues.
Oh yeah, just a FYI.
And they also started another room called Transamorous or Girl Culture. So, apparently they're upset that we're talking right now, and we're not going to let them interfere in our conversation and, do what they do, be adversarial.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, we might be the bad guys, but they just have to go talk trash about all of us again.
Well, I embrace being the villain. If me speaking up for men, if me speaking and living my truth, if me inspiring other men to do better and be better is a bad thing, then okay, I'll embrace it. Chris has only been doing this for about a year. I've been doing it for 20 plus. So, I've been in the trenches. I've done this, and I've had to deal with all this negativity. And again, at this point, you're not going to bring them around until people end up hanging around those who just share their opinion. And so they don't, and they reject anything that's outside of that opinion. And because of that, they hype each other up. And, they just foment all of that.
Well, look, outside of that, Sasha, again, totally here to do some more content and some more like roundtable discussions with women. And maybe between the two of us, we can come up with a great topic where we can bring people together and, talk about some shit. So I am definitely open for it. I'm just not open for being a springboard for people who want to get clout off of hating men. So, I'm sorry, that's what I saw that whole stream as, it was hurt woman theater. And it got very exaggerated. And it was just like, we're just catering to women who hate men, who are hurt. And that's the audience they want to go for and entertain. And cool. I think it's irresponsible, but fine, go for it. You can get views off of that. So there is clout to be gained off of men and women, at least transamorous men and women, being in this like imaginary ass rap beef. Like, it's crazy. I've had girls come up to me today. Why are the trans girls and the transamorous men beefing? This isn't beefing. This ain't real. It's just a bunch of women getting clout and whipping other girls into a tizzy against transamorous men for I don't know what reason. Because they think everybody should be an activist like them to be a soldier on the ground. Not everybody's a soldier like you, and not every solution is the same solution. So something that my friend Anastasia said right here on the last time we got together, where she said you can't treat a cold like you treat cancer. So the solution for the cold for them is to get in the streets, organize, have marches, do all these activisty things. And for us men, that's not the solution. Because me and these guys over here, we can go walk down the street, but we ain't gonna reach a damn motherfucker doing that shit. We ain't gonna bring no man out of his illness doing that shit. We have to get to the men where they are, which is usually on their phones, on the digital platforms. We have to get to them through Instagram, through Facebook, through Twitter, whatever. So it's just a different solution to the problem, which is men being afraid, living in fear, and living in their DLness. And, my whole goal is to reach as many men as possible to get them to deal with their attraction and deal with themselves and accept themselves. And I'm hoping that, one of these guys that I saved is somebody that didn't make a knee-jerk decision to abuse or kill a woman just to protect his DLness. Because a lot of these guys aren't dealing with themselves. They don't, and the way that a lot of young black men are raised, they're not raised to have the tools that they need to deal with their resolution style is violence. That's why we got so many people getting shot out here. And it's so. I mean, I'm sorry, I kind of just went on and on. But I'm totally cool with everybody putting the guns down, coming together, and being cool, and not coming so angry and hot because nobody on the stage did shit to nobody, and not a damn one of us ever hurt nobody, beat nobody up, done anything harmful to the community at all. But just because I'm Transamorous don't mean I'm gonna be an activist out there walking with a flag in the street and organizing marches through downtown with the niggas SDL don't even hang out. I mean, if you really want to be brave, go march through the south side of Chicago, reach them niggas that's actually violent. Ain't nobody doing that shit though. So I kind of went off. I'll yield the mic, but
the fact there's no mentors, no possibility models out there, and men openly dealing with their emotions. You said a lot of men don't have those tools, and that's true. And by reaching those men and having these conversations, you're doing the work. We're changing lives. I mean, you can go to my YouTube page and just read the comments. All the receipts are there from trans women and from men saying thank you. Thank you for standing up. The men saying, hey, I finally see someone who looks like me and sounds like me and feels like me. That now I'm normal. And the women is like, well, my boyfriend, he was able, he listened to you and blah, 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 and now he feels better about himself and all of that. That's the work. That's the work, because there's comfort in living in fear and being DL. Staying in the shadows is easy. Getting and screwing any and everybody that you want because they'll let you is easy. That's easy. But stepping out into the light and standing up and being visible and vocal, that's a whole different story. But a lot of trans women, especially those that you were talking about, they don't want to hear about our journeys. They don't want to hear about our struggles or our stories.
I mean, it's just sad lack of empathy for a group of people that are definitely going through. And I'm not here to wage any trauma wars. Like, I'm not here to say my trauma is bigger than yours and I'm more important than this and this. I think everybody's experienced trauma is valid as fuck, and I think we all need to be here to support each other. And just because I'm asking for you to support me on mine doesn't mean that I'm neglecting you or neglecting women in this community. And, I really just think, I don't know, I just think we just need to have more of an effort to come together, because this imagined rap beef, this imagined war between Transamorous men and trans women, it's a small vocal group on Clubhouse. This ain't no real fucking war. It's a small vocal group that's trying to capitalize and get clout and get people to listen to them about why Transamorous men are so bad, when, I mean, we're literally not doing any of the things that a lot of women complain about that harm the community, including murders.
So I just think this was a perfect time again to have a conversation and to really resolve some things. But again, it didn't happen. Everybody was here. They'd rather go make another room. Honestly, I don't think you're ever going to get the support that you want from certain girls in the community, but that's okay. And that's all right. You have to reach the men that need it. You reach the girls that are going to create the space for you or include you in their spaces, and you keep doing what you're doing, because certain chicks are just not going to change. They're not. And it is what it is.
So
I really go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. So I take it we're not gonna get on our Tupac shit then.
This is not a real rap.
No, we're not.
I'm just fucking around.
Nobody's against anybody. It's not real.
Don't hate me. Just fuck around. Sorry, I try to break the monotony.
That's cool. Sounds good.
All I want to say is that I see what men like us are doing, where they're doing the work in the sense of like trying to build community. And I feel like you should still continue to build your male community. And you're going to say stuff in the future that's going to piss trans women off. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you continue to be this politically correct person. Trans women are always going to find something to complain about. And I'm not trying to bash trans women, but it's just human nature. Like, I just feel like if we're going to build this community, we have to hear voices from different sector. It can't just be one-parted thing. Yes, you can have your stance on Transamorous, but when it's needed to have a female's voice, you can't be scared to come across these trans women, because these trans women voices are way louder than yours. So when you say you don't want to be a part of certain conversation with toxic people, you have to be in toxic spaces to eliminate transphobia and self-hate, because some of these girls, they don't hate you, Chris. They hate the fact that you are loud about your attraction to trans women. They want the guys who said, hey, I'm coming over your house to hook up with you and go back to my baby mother. They want the guys who are saying, oh, I'm a DL person, are you going to accept me or not? Like, they want these guys, and these guys are getting everything, right? So it's not that these girls are just trying to, like, that's all they know. And it's sad to say that's all trans women know is guys who are, I wouldn't say down low, but guys who are discreet, guys who don't want to claim them. That's all they know. So when they see something different, they don't know how to react. And this could have been an easy solved. Like, Let's Talk podcast could have reached out to you guys, because you guys follow each other on all social media. And it could have been a great conversation, but it was like, no, let's attack men like us because they went wrong. And it's like, you can't cradle these men, but at the same time, you both are in the same community, on same Facebook, same social media. So I don't understand the whole separation. And even just making a next Clubhouse chat, like, you all could have just stayed here, say what's on your mind, because you are in the room. Let's Talk podcast was in the room. Could have just friggin' faced the person who made the video, and we could have solved this problem. But it's like, they just want to be like cis women, where it's like, I'm bashing black men, and they just want to do that. And it's like, girl, there's no way.
Here's the thing, Sasha. That's already been handled. I called two of the people that were on there. So, like, we had conversations. I aired my grievances with two of the people that were on that stream. So, and I did get a heads up, just to give Hope her full credit. She did give me a heads up that she was doing a reaction video. I did not know that my content was going to be used without my permission, especially in a way that was very deceitful and out of context. But we had a Clubhouse here before, and we had everybody, all the girls that were on that stream were in the conversation before, and we got a lot of unrealistic expectations of men, especially the things they wanted done in 24 hours. But then also, it was just another opportunity. It was just another opportunity to gain clout in grandstand. Why don't they give the fuck? I didn't allow it today, because I'm not going to give somebody an opportunity to grandstand and gain clout by being unfair and shitting on men. Like, you can go gain clout from men on your own platform.
So, Chris, what I'm going to tell you is, as that being your friend, like I told you when we spoke, some of the things that was said in that video should have never been said about you, especially if that's your friend.
Amen.
If you're my friend, okay, and I'm friends with you and another person, and I know y'all two beefing, or whatever the case, there's a disagreement, it's cool. I'll stay out of it. But I'm not going to let you say disrespectful things about my friend on my platform. I can't. I'm not going to do that. As for Sasha, I'm going to give you a heads up, my love. Continue to have your own mind. You will be met with a lot of hatred for some of the things you said in this room today. I'm just letting you know.
I don't give you a heads up.
That was bad. I said I do.
You did not say anything that's
okay.
bad. You didn't say. No, I'm letting you know. As a girl who's been in your place, just letting you get. I'm giving you a heads up.
Listen. I am Jamaican.
I'm Jamaican too.
My culture is way different from American women's culture.
Thank you.
So I see stuff totally different, right? Where I'm not going to. I'm a leader. First of all, I'm a leader, and I'm always going to have my own voice and own opinion. I walk alone. I don't have a lot of girlfriends, I don't have a lot of friends. I have probably a handful of friends where I can say, okay, that's my friend. But what I'm saying is, I did watch both videos, and I critique both videos in the sense of where it was missing and where it could have been amazing. Do I feel like the girls was wrong? Yes. Do I feel the girls had good points? Yes. Do I feel the man was right? Yes. Do I feel that they missed a lot of points? Yes. But their video was good. Their video wasn't saying fuck trans women and trans women are this and trans women only want man for this. No, you guys never said that. But in the female video, they were bashing. They were literally bashing the guys. Not all of them, but most girls in the video was. Right? So I'm not trying to pick a side. I'm just trying to voice my opinion in this space because you don't get this space a lot. You do get a lot of trans women space, and we hear each other's voice all over a million times. I've made a video where trans women bash me for my opinions. I've made plenty of videos where trans women say, oh, Sasha, you don't get it. No. You have to, if you're going to be a content creator, people are going to be upset. Point blank, period. And the Man Like Us podcast was not a bad podcast. It was just a missed opportunity for some points. And that's all. It wasn't to attack trans women. It wasn't. Yes, they said a few little things and a few little jokes here and there, but they weren't insulting Janet Mock. They weren't calling her a man. They weren't calling her just a disgusting name. It was not. But in the women's podcast, it was being rude. It was like, wow, these guys are disgusting. If you watch the podcast, it was also you're getting that these guys are disgusting. So it's not that me saying I'm picking a side. No, I'm just saying it was a missed opportunity for both podcasts. That's it.
No, I agree with you, and I would just give you a heads up that since you have your own mind and you are a girl who thinks for herself and you're very articulate, and I'm hearing you standing your ground and speaking on both sides. I'm just letting you know, as a girl who thinks like you, and I've been in your position, they will gang up on you. But what I will tell you is to continue to stand your ground and never change. Don't conform. Don't join in on the bullshit because it will come. It's gonna happen.
All I gotta say is just one thing.
All right, go ahead, man.
No friend of anybody. If you call somebody your friend will never, ever, 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 ever say the words, your mother should have aborted you.
That was not somebody I claimed to be my friend. That was somebody on the street of somebody at the time who was my friend.
Just saying, even the person that you did claim to be a friend never stood up and said, oh, no, you're not going to say this here. So I'm just saying, if the person who did say it wasn't your friend, that's fine. But the fact that your friend didn't check that person automatically puts them in the category of that's not a friend.
Right. I totally agree. I did watch that. Did watch that part, and I felt some type of way. But at the same time, when you have a bigger platform, your voice is going to be heard a million times over. And I understand where Chris was coming from, where he reached out to the person and they could have resolved it easily. But they owe you a public apology for that if they're going to remain your friend. Period. And that's coming, that Hope needs to apologize to you.
I say bring the apology.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with all that, guys. I'm sorry. I wanted to we got a new guest on stage. I wanted to give Jasmine a chance to chime in.
Hey, Mama Jazz.
From Jasmine. And Nikki, I tried to invite you up. I don't know like it's not working. Oh. Hi. Okay.
Can you guys hear me? Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Hey, Auntie. I'm not very, into, talking, but I hear everything. And Chanel, thank you so much for inviting me. Chris, I'm here with you. I hear everything, and whoever did anything or said anything about that, they are completely wrong. I'm just listening to everything that's going on, just soaking it all in.
I appreciate that.
I love you, Chanel. I love you too, Auntie.
Jasmine, were you going to get into or what?
I'm just getting in. I know I'm late for the conversation. I'm just getting home. So I just so happened to open my Clubhouse, and this is what I saw. So I just turned in.
Well, we're here, so if you have any questions, anything that you ever wanted to ask Transamorous men, you got them.
I don't ask Transamorous men nothing because I respect them and I love them. And like I said once before, I need to find me one in Miami, honey. So hey, it is what it is. I don't have no questions for them because to me, a Transamorous man is just a regular person, regular human being, child.
All right, fair enough. D?
Hey everybody, yeah, I was kind of in and out of this conversation, but I did watch both streams, and there was some interest. Jasmine, can you mute your mic for me, please, honey? Thank you. There was some interesting things that were said on both streams, but I just want to be here to encourage Transamorous men. There are trans women that need you. And want to have you, in their life to partner with and to stay on your purpose. It's all about, what was your original purpose for starting the podcast? I've met Chris and he's been on my podcast, and I was so interested in getting to know Chris because he was a Black cis man speaking on these issues, and I just found him to be so inspiring. And that is the Chris and the Transamorous community that I want to see. I know that when you get in spaces and social media, you kind of do want the sidekick of the girls with the blue checks, but sometimes they're not ready for that. That's not their angle. That's not their character that they want to portray on social media because, they've built their own platforms off of being a certain way. So all the men on the stage, just, stay on your purpose. What I've told Chris in the past, I don't know if I've ever said it on Clubhouse, but we just want to see you guys love. We want to see the partnership. We want to see the visibility because if I was someone who wasn't kind of deeply entrenched in, the community as of last year, I was like, okay, where's the amory? Where are the potential romantic relationships that we so need in our community, the protection, security, and that's what we need to see. How do we as trans people be able to partner with you and vice versa? And those are the conversations that I want to hear because personally that's what would be most important to me in my life. And I know where Janet Mock put that story out there, she knew people was going to talk about it. I don't care if she had a couple of Hennessy margaritas in her, but she got on stage and she said it. She said what she said, so she knew that the social media outlets, news outlets, and tabloids was going to get to that, and it was kind of public domain at that point. So no one can really judge on how and what they said about her, but we know that the trans Black community and Transamorous men, it's kind of like a sacred relationship, and it can get personal very fast, but everyone just needs to stay on their purpose. If we're going to talk about protecting trans Black women, gaining resources, employment, education, men being comfortable with, their sexual identity and relationship identity, and that entail will formulate to save lives and
save trans Black women's lives, and that's what we need to get back to. You know, I can kiki with the best of them and whatever, but I don't think I've ever disrespected anyone, their platform, them as a person, them as a human, and everyone, you know, especially in this community when we're losing girls every day now. We just have to get back on our purpose, and I know that, you know, it is an app, it is a platform that we can, you know, do, say whatever, but we have serious work to do in this community. I am a person who just kind of joined community probably in the last year or so. You know, I'm here to work. I'm here to partner, you know. I'm here to be visible. I'm here to, you know, show the world that trans women are human. Trans people are human. I'm here to show the Black community that there are Black men that love us beyond the dark, that love us when it's not a outing situation. That's what we need to show, because that is how we're going to make our lives easier. And here in 2021, I am about making my life as easy as possible, and I would love to have a community to help me do that. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Well, I mean, the one thing we can talk about, because we was both in a relationship at the same time, and I think maybe attest to this too. But look, there's a lot of folks out there. There's a lot of trans women and cis men in relationships right the fuck now. There are, and I'm talking about Black ones. They are married, Black, white, whatever. Everybody. There's a bunch of married couples out there right now, engaged couples, people that's together. But the thing is, you don't see them, because when people get in these relationships, they find out real quick, a lot of times, community isn't good for their relationship and they need to detach. And they have to kind of step away, and then they become less visible, and they kind of just fade away because nobody knows them anymore because they stayed away for so long. But they're like a lot of the married couples that I know, they're not in these Facebook groups. You're not on Clubhouse like that. And it's just, and that's all that, I don't know any married couples that's still here, still have a conversation with people, showing, being an example and all that stuff. And I used to be judgmental of that shit, but now I understand they were doing that shit to protect their relationship.
And I feel like it's time to cultivate that space. I think you have the perfect platform to cultivate that space.
So and not the other 1,000 trans content creators out there. Why do I have to be the one that
because married are tapped into the men? You are tapped into the men, and you know, we as trans women, we don't have that power. And that voice that other men have at convincing other men to, you know, step out into the light with your relationship. This is a safe space. You're actually be helping out the homie. I don't have that voice, even if I was in a even if and when I was in a relationship, to be able to do that. Because as we know with, you know, male behavior, they do first look at what other men are doing, and if they don't see other men doing it, they more than likely won't do it. So back again, you do have that platform to get one or two of those conversations off the ground, more so than me starting something brand new. And I don't have the population of Transamorous men that you have on your platform and on your Facebook groups, and try to start from scratch. I would love to be involved in, you know, helping cultivate those conversations and, you know, telling my story. And maybe one day, if me and my ex get back together or something, we can, you know, be up there and, or whatever like that. And my heart is still broke. Okay, I'm still yesterday. Because when you told me that y'all I'm still mad. I'm still sad. I want to cry. Well, definitely, yes.
Yeah, just so you know, I mean, the group as a whole, I mean, we are definitely like working on trying to reach out to people to get them to, you know, step into the light with their attraction, everything like that. Like, you know, Chris does the Men Like Us podcast, which I am on a bunch of times, but I also have my podcast, the Real Talk podcast, where, you know, I do put out episodes that cater to that topic. And then we also have another guy named Roy who has an active TikTok. He's online, always, telling people like, look, don't be ashamed, step into your attraction, be yourself, stuff like that. Trell's been on the Men Like Us podcast a bunch of times as well. So, we are active with like putting the message out there.
Well, we've had, like my very first episode I had a married man on that episode. I've had 2 married men on we just don't focus on whether guys are single, married, or whatever. But, the real piece of all of this is that this whole process would go so much quicker if we had cooperation from a lot of women in the community. Because let's be real, I don't know your trade. You know your trade. And if you encourage all your trade, hey, you should listen to this podcast. Hey, you should check out this video that this one guy made. Like, the process would go so much quicker. It would go so much quicker because we'd be reaching the men that need to be reached, because this is such an elusive community because guys are DL. It's hard to find them. It is hard to find them as a man. We only find the people that are brought to us for the most part. Somebody might catch me on a thread on a Facebook post being open about my life and all that kind of stuff. But it is, I ran to Detroit by happenstance on a Facebook post. Like, it is, I'm just saying, it would go so much quicker. So much quicker. Like, if anybody wanted to know what the silver bullet was for this, it would be a little bit more buy-in. So I wasn't looking for support per se. I was just looking for a little buy-in from the community to help this process go quicker, so that, a lot of these guys know that, hey, you can actually be open with this, and there are men like you who look like you, talk like you, like 2K, wear Jordans off, whatever the fuck, got a college degree, whatever life you live in, there's somebody like you that's already in this that you can identify with and you can own. You can be free, bro. Ain't nobody, you can live free of judgment, and you can live in a way where you don't care about your judgment. Because, to be honest, I didn't know I could live like this until I met my first transgender friend. And there's a lot of guys that don't even know the term transgender. Some of these dudes in these Clubhouse rooms, I never even heard that term before, but I've been fucking with trans women for years. Like, this is such a new thing, but it would just go so much faster if we got buy-in.
Well, anything great that up there. Yeah, anything great of such magnitude is going to have to be built brick by brick. There's no bypass or interstate to this. It was a process for the men and how they navigate their DL-ness and trade-ness and to be in the shadows. It's a process, it's a strategy, and it's going to have to be a process and a strategy for them to come to the light. A lot of the girls speaking about how you can promote to your trade, like they come every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday or something. A lot of the girls can't have those conversations with their trade because they don't have much enriching conversation, period. With these guys. Very transactional. It's very transactional.
It's cool.
And
a link on IG.
And a lot of the time, a lot of the time the respect that you give the trade and they give to you, you won't even care to send it. So it's just a nuanced situation, and I wouldn't expect for, those who are not in those situations to understand that complex situation. But those that, if you can reach, you do that. You cannot help everybody. You cannot bring every horse to water. And if I was a, sex worker girl, like, what I'm going to do? Okay, after, this transactional act that we did here, take this card and go look at this. It doesn't go like that, because at the end of the day, you know that you are getting monetized off of their secrecy. So you have to think about that too. So it's complex. So I'm thinking just big brick by brick, keep doing what you're doing, and people are actually watching and tuning in, and they may be having conversations with people, outside of the community. You just never know. But you and this group have to keep putting out the content. The content can't stop because you didn't get an investor, or something like, or from a group of people. You put it out before
without their investment, and you can continue to have it. I know that the labor is great. I know that you may be tired. I know you be war torn and beat up, but if you're looking at it for, your original purpose, I think, you all can find strength there.
You're right, D. Y'all don't know. D get me together all the time. We talk like all day.
We do. I work from home, so I can do it.
Same here. I mean, who's on that? But I ain't gonna go in out. All the stupid shit we were talking about, but
this has been a really great conversation, Chris. I said it's been a really great conversation.
We've been doing it for a while. It's definitely. Well, hold on. Before we wrap it up, I want to give each of the guys a chance to say something, and Angelo and Mike. I really, if there was one message you could broadcast out to the community, a reference to Transamorous men, one day that you would love them to take away from this, by all means, drop it. If either one of y'all are still Mike.
Yeah. Okay, I guess I'll go first. I mean, just one thing I'd like the ladies to know is despite what people will try to say about us, because I know they're going to continue to try to say the same thing over and over again. We are not here just for sexual kinks. We're not trying to have 5 relationships at one time. We literally are men that have realized what our attraction is. We accept our attraction, and we are actually looking to build relationships with a woman that we find attracted to. So like I said, we're not looking for 5 relationships. We're just looking for one woman that we can go ahead and build a relationship with. We're not, and like Chris always uses the word monolith. We're not a monolith. We are individuals at the end of the day, but we just so happen to share similar characteristics as to how we approach relationships with the ladies. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Cool. Angela? I don't know, Angela might have fell asleep on this. All right, Chanel, you can wrap it up.
I just want to thank everybody for coming into the Elite Lounge. I'm Chanel, and that is Chris. Chris, can you get your page in so that the people know?
Hit me up on MinMicus at MinMicus Podcast on Instagram, at MinMicus Pod on Twitter, MinMicus Podcast, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I'm everywhere. So holler at me. Oh, YouTube.
We will be closing out this room. Be sure to follow everybody that you love, and we will be opening up a Kiki room. So enjoy your night.
All right. Bye. Ooh. Yeah, this hair is kind of wild. Haircut day's coming up in a little bit here, but just wanted to thank everybody for watching this. And, I know things kind of got dicey there at some points, but, just like we have on the podcast all the time, we have honest conversation. So we say some real shit, and, we say things in the way that we want to say it, but we just say how we feel, y'all. We just offering our honest opinions out here. And, what's great about that is, if you don't like it, you can check out another content provider. But, men definitely don't speak up in this space, so we offer something unique. So thank you for everybody who supports us and who's watching tonight. Please subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, share this video, share another video. Doesn't have to be this conversation. It could be any conversation. But we will revisit this myths and assumptions about transamorous men. We're gonna continue to do that. All right, and I guess until next time, y'all. Tomorrow night, about the same time, I am having a transgender rapper on the show, and she is dope as fuck. Can't wait for you guys to meet her. Definitely excited to talk to her. So catch y'all later.